Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, I am going to be discussing the cards and decks to look out for Master Duel. These are decks that are currently either in the OCG or TCG. Actually, it's mostly the TCG that I expect to be showing up in Master Duel in the next one or two updates for at least the card pool. I don't expect all of these to come at the same time, and I don't expect them to all be the same rarity or along those lines. However, I do expect them to be expensive, and this is why I'm warning you now, so that you can look out for them and potentially save up your gems for these cards. So let's just hop into it, and let me explain what the decks, archetypes, and cards do, and why they're good. First off, we are going to start with the Adventure Engine. This engine is incredibly small, incredibly consistent, and incredibly overpowered. It's an Omni-Negate in 2 summons, starting off with either Water Enchantress of the Temple or Rite of Aramesir. With these, basically, Water Enchantress gets the Rite of Aramesir by banishing itself from hand or graveyard, making it incredible discard fodder, as well as saving itself from something like a Called by the Grave, or basically anything. What this does is it searches out Rite of Aramesir. This card, when you activate it, it special summons an adventure token with 2000, and then this token does a whole lot of things. But Rite of Aramesir will also allow you to get Fateful Adventure onto your side of the field from the deck if you don't already have one. So Fateful Adventure is absolutely crazy as well. The first time a monster you control that is equipped with an equipped card would be destroyed by battle, it's not destroyed. So pretty nice. Mostly this is used for the token to save it with Dracoback. We'll get to that in a second. But what this does is during your main phase, you can add a monster that mentions an adventurer token from your deck to your hand, then send a card from your hand to the graveyard. So it's just a swapping of cards. The reason this is so good is because it can search out Griffin Rider. So we have summoned out a token, and that's it. We've also set up Fateful Adventure. So far, we have a token and Fateful Adventure on our side of the field. With Wandering Griffin Rider, during your main phase, if you control no monsters or control an adventurer token, you special summon this guy from your hand, and he's an Omni-Negate. He's just an Omni-Negate that shuffles himself back into the deck. Again, every turn you can search him out with Fateful Adventure, and he's an Omni-Negate in 2 summons. Yeah, this card and archetype is incredibly broken. It is currently splashed in basically every topping deck, and is genuinely a tier 0 strategy. That's how prominent it is. And to top it all off, we have Dracoback. This card is absolutely insane. It is additional, just free discard advantage, because if you send it to the graveyard, you can just return it to the hand. Yeah, I don't know why it does that, but it does. You can only have one of this, to be fair, but that's not that big of a deal. You can only equip it to a non-effect monster. Again, not that big of a deal. You have the token. If it's sent to the graveyard, you can target an adventurer token you control, equip it. So just, you discard it and then equip. Absolutely crazy. And more importantly, you can target a card your opponent controls and return the target to the hand. Just once per turn, just target a card. I don't know why that's also its effect, but along with it being protected, or your token being protected from battle with Fateful Adventure, you can also just return cards. Absolutely insane. Just keeps your token around, which allows you to consistently get an Omni-Negate on your side of the field, and it is incredibly consistent because it is a 1-card starter with Rite of Aramesir, or Water Enchantress. That's 6 cards that get you basically 2 free summons and an Omni-Negate on your side of the field, before hand traps are even really a consideration. Absolutely insane. Definitely going to be looking out for this. Next, we have the second terror of the current format in the TCG with Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. Why is this card so good? I thought Dragoon was better. Dragoon is currently banned in Master Duel. Why do we need to be looking out for this? Well, currently, Fusion Destiny is already semi-limited because in preparation for this card, they wanted to hit it at least a little. Verte is also limited in Master Duel where it's not in the TCG, but that honestly doesn't matter. Why? Because this card comes back every turn. That's mostly it. It has really solid material for the Fusion Destiny as well, and it is a non-target destruction. Basically, when this guy's on the field, you're always considering just your card could just die, right? So let me real quick read what this does. First of all, it requires a level 6 or higher hero monster and a Destiny hero monster. Monsters your opponent control with 200 or lose 200 attack for each hero in your graveyard, which normally is just 2. And then you can also you can use the following effect once per turn. You can destroy a card you control and a card your opponent and a card on the field. Doesn't even have to be your opponent's card, just a card on the field. You can just destroy 2 cards on the field. One of them has to be yours, but the other one can be anywhere. Non-target, just pop. Also, if this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can just special summon it during the next standby phase. Not even your standby phase, the next standby phase. So, you can pop a card on your turn, popping itself, pop your opponent's card, then during the opponent's turn, this card comes back, you do it again. You pop another card your opponent controls. Or you could do something even more devious. You can pop itself and Artifact Scythe. Artifact Scythe, when it is destroyed during the opponent's turn, it special summons itself. And then, on top of that, it will also lock your opponent out of the extra deck. Now, the way to get to this is through Artifact Dagda. So, Artifact Dagda, just 2 monsters with different names. It sets your Artifact Scythe. Now, normally it would pop it during the opponent's end phase, I believe. So, it's not the greatest, but it would still bring it back and lock your opponent out during the end phase. But more importantly is the fact that it sets the card. So, you could just set a card setting Scythe with Dagda, go into a Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, use Destroy Phoenix Enforcer during your opponent's draw phase in order to pop itself and pop Scythe, and then during the next standby phase, bring back the Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, keeping your opponent locked out of the extra deck with Scythe. On top of that, we have the incredible materials that make up DPE in Celestial, Dasher, and Plasma. Plasma, contribute 3 monsters to special summon itself, and then negate all face-up monsters' effects. This is an inherent summon, so it is very difficult for people to actually interact with that. The only thing that really can is something that negates summons. So there's that. On top of this, it can just negate all of your monster's effects, as well as equip a monster your opponent controls. So you just steal a monster, and then it becomes really big. So there's an option. Not too common, but it is an option that I see people play. The other high-level option is Dasher. Dasher is really good because if it's in the graveyard, which is like the only time that you're going to have it is in the graveyard, it can, during your draw phase, you can special summon a monster that you draw if you end up drawing a monster. So absolutely crazy. You know, if you end up top decking a Nibiru, sweet, it's a 3,000 body now on your field. Dasher's really good. On top of that, we have Celestial. You can banish Celestial as well as any other hero monster or Destiny hero monster to draw to if you have no other cards in your hand. So, you know, it's just a pot of greed on top of, you know, making DPE. So, again, very, very good. And this is mostly the reason why this card is better than Dragoon, right? Just the materials are better, the fusion card is better, the ability to consistently come back, the fact that you are able to use Scythe with it just makes this deck and this card incredibly powerful. And along with the adventure engine, this engine is everywhere. It takes up 5 cards actually in your main deck and 3 cards in your extra deck in order to basically just turn your opponent off for a turn sometimes. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, the next deck I want to talk about is Branded. So this one is a little bit more interesting. We got this a lot more spread out throughout the releases in both the OCG and the TCG, so we didn't quite get everything all at once, but now that everything is collected, it is a definite tier 1 strategy and absolutely insane. You can pair it with things like Adventure or DPE, or you could just play it more as a pure variant, and it's absolutely insane. So, this is the Branded / Fallen of Alba's archetype. I've already covered a lot of Despia and Fallen Volbaz, so I'm not going to cover the cards that we already have in Master Duel. I'm just going to cover the cards that we will be getting, and things to look out for. Notably, I'm going to kind of try and go in order of what I expect to get, as well as cards that we already have. So first and foremost, Branded in Red is probably the next card that we are likely to get with the branded archetype. This card is just an additional fusion summon card for your Despia cards specifically. You just add a Despia or Fallen of Albaz from your graveyard to your hand, and then you can fusion summon a level 8 or higher fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing the materials listed from hand or field. This is absolutely insane. The reason that it's so very good is because, one, it gets you back advantage, and then two, it's an additional quick play fusion summon, which is really, really good. So there you go. On top of that, the other main deck card that I expect to get at the moment is Alibitum of Despia. This card is fine. You mostly use him as fusion material because he brings himself back. I'll just quickly read the card. During your main phase, you can make all monsters currently on the field gain attack equal to their own level times 100 till the end of the opponent's turn. So basically what you do is, going first, if you're able to summon this guy, you can just make your guys even bigger, which is pretty nice. On top of that, if this card on the hand or field is used as fusion material for a fusion summon and sent to the graveyard or banished, you can target one of your Despia monsters or level 8 or higher fusion monsters that is banished and or in your graveyard, and then special summon it. So the reason you use him is just to get that additional special summon, and you can just gain even more advantage, right? If you are able to use him with something like Branded in Red, you are able to then special summon something out like an Aluber, which then can search out another card. And this is where Despia starts to really get rolling, and you start to see some of the inklings as to why this is a tier 1 deck. The next card I expect to get is Masquerade. I expect all three of these to come in the same set. Reason being, that's how it was in the TCG and the OCG, so I expect it to be at least somewhat similar in Master Duel. Now, this card is basically just skilled, what is it? Chain Energy, I believe is what it's called. But basically, anytime your opponent wants to activate a card, they have to pay 600 life points in order to activate it. That's it. That's basically all it does. It is very generous with its material. It just requires a Despia monster and a light or dark, which is very nice. On top of that, if your opponent controls a Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, Exe, or Link monster while this card is in your graveyard, you just special summon it, add a quick effect speed. Yep, it comes back. Let's go Despia. So yeah, this card's absolutely crazy for a lower power level game, and it makes Despia very good, but some of the other cards make it even better. So let's real quick talk about them. First of all, we have Branded Fusion. This card's crazy. This card deserves to be banned. Reason being, it is just straight up a fusion summon by sending materials from the deck. You thought Fusion Destiny was great because it had one good target? Well, now we have like 4. We only actually have like one target for this card, and that is Lubellion. Lubellion is an additional fusion summon. You discard a card, you fusion summon by sending the materials back to the deck. So if you're playing Fallen Volbaz and you send it with Branded Fusion, you go into this guy, you then send this guy back to the extra deck as well as your Fallen of Volbaz to make Mirror Jade. Mirror Jade is absolutely crazy. First of all, you can send a fusion monster from your extra deck to the graveyard that lists Fallen of Volbaz as material, which, to be fair, all of them have a graveyard effect that allow you to search out cards during the end phase. So, yeah, that's pretty good. But what that does is it allows you to non-target banish a monster on the field. Any monster. Meaning, even if this guy were to be taken out, you could banish itself in order to get that advantage during the end phase if you know that you were going to survive. Again, absolutely insane advantage engine. And again, this is off of a singular card. As long as you have one discard fodder, which you should have, that's one card that did all of that. So, on top of that, if your opponent makes this fusion summon card in your control, leave the field, destroy all of your opponent's monsters during the end phase. It even has a just revenge effect as well, which is absolutely crazy. Now, the reason I say that you have to use the Lubellion as its material is because it does require a Fallen of Albaz and then any of your extra deck monsters except for Pendulum. So, all in all, it's very, very good. Other cards that come along with Branded are the Tri-Brigade Mercurier, which is better in Tri-Brigade. It's just a monster effect negation for Tri-Brigade. So very, very solid. Hopefully Tri-Brigade get a nerf before this card arrives, because if they don't, this card will be absolutely crazy. We also have Springen's Kit. This is actually better in a Fallen of Alba's strategy, and something else to look out for. It specifically lists branded spells or traps, which is why it's very good. I'm also going to quickly talk about the Edge Imp Chain, as well as Fright for Patchwork synergy. So basically, the reason that this is so good is because it gets you into polymerization. You activate Fright for Patchwork, you grab an Edge Imp Chain, as well as a polymerization. Now you have a dark target for any of your fusions, potentially Masquerade or something along those lines. And then you could also potentially go into Guardian Chimera. This is the card that I'm most excited for Despia. You just need 3 monsters with different names. You fusion summon it in any way. It is a level 9, so it is level 8 or higher, which is very good for a lot of the Despia branded stuff. And on top of that, when it is summoned, you can non-target destroy cards as well as draw cards depending on the materials or where you used your materials. So if they were from the field, you destroy cards, I believe. You destroy cards equal to the number of monsters from the field that you used, and you draw cards equal to the number of monsters from the hand that you used. Now, you do have to use at least 1 from each, so you can't, like, destroy 3 cards non-target, by the way, or just draw 3 cards. You do have to at least have 1 monster on the field that you used, or 1 monster in the hand that you used. But even with that being said, it's still incredibly crazy. Also, it has a protection effect if you have polymerization in your grave. It just can't be destroyed, I believe, or something along those lines. Once while polymerization is in the graveyard, your opponent cannot target this card with card effects. That's what it is. You can't target it while it has polymerization in the grave. Also, it's 3,300, 3,300, making it very big. So Branded is definitely something to look out for in the future. Now, the next deck that I want to talk about is Sword Soul. This deck is incredibly powerful. Even in the TCG, they lost one of their best cards, and yet they are still incredibly powerful. The reason being is because they are all worm types that focus on summoning tokens in order to go into synchro monsters. They have many powerful synchro monsters as well to assist them in this. So, first of all, basically the numbers that they go into are pretty varied. They can go into 9s, 8s, 7s, as well as 10s. All of these are pretty consistent and easy for them to summon due to the tokens with which they summon. Notable cards to look out for are Baron, obviously, Baron de Fleur. We already have that card in the game, but for some reason they give us Baron and then not like half of the other cards that work with Baron. I don't know. It was weird. Anyway, so Baron de Fleur, as well as Chi-Xiao. Now, Chi-Xiao is absolutely crazy. If it is synchro summoned, you can add a Sword Soul or banish a Sword Soul card from your deck. It's just a free search. Also, banishing cards is very good. A lot of them have effects that banish, so very good. And it is a monster negate. You just banish a Sword Soul or a worm type monster to negate the effects of a face-up monster, a face-up effect monster. Yeah, it's pretty good. And it's an 8, which is pretty easy for this deck to summon. On top of that, they have Reborn spells, or I think this is the Reborn one. Yeah, they have Reborn spells as well as just any searches. They can search out worm monsters, which is why it pairs so well with Tenyi. You could just special summon out a Tenyi, normal summon a tuner or something like that, go into an 8, search out your Sword Soul half of the deck, and then you can activate your Sacred Summit in order to bring back a Sword Soul or to bring out a worm type monster. You can also use your Sword Soul Emergence to search out another worm type monster. Another notable card to consider is Protoss, Arch Nemesis Protoss. It's a worm type monster that is searchable in this deck that also locks your opponent out of special summoning, which is very scary. This is one of the more powerful going second strategies that can also go first thanks to Baron and Chixiao. They also can play some of the Yang Xing monsters, which are worms, which gives them even more advantage. So all in all, just an absolutely crazy strategy. Definitely something to look out for. It was tier 1 in the TCG after the release of Ecclesia. However, Ecclesia I expect to come in the second or third updates. I don't expect it to arrive with all of the other Sword Souls, but even without Ecclesia, the deck is still incredibly powerful, and maybe tier 2, at least a tier 3 strategy, tier like 2.5. So there you go, that's the deck. Look out for it. So we've talked quite a bit about the combo strategies as well as the engines to facilitate said combo strategies. So let's talk about a control strategy in Flundries. Flundries is an archetype that centers around normal summoning wind-type monsters, as well as water-type monsters, and banishing them when they leave the field. Using the normal summons as well as the tribute summons in order to go into powerful monsters, such as your M-Pen, which allows you to basically play during your... Sorry, not this one, but which allows you to just gain more advantage, or Ryza in order to just shuffle away your opponent's cards. And since it relies heavily on normal summons, it is very difficult to deal with something like Max C, right? However, because it does banish, and because of the fact that it does rely on normal summons, it does tend to brick a bit. However, it's still one of the best decks currently in the OCG, as well as it's still really good in the TCG. It's maybe not tier 1, but very close. So, real quick, the way that it floodgates you is it is able to tribute your opponent's cards with the Flundries and the Unexplored Winds. It's a continuous spell that just allows you to tribute a monster, or not even a monster, just a card your opponent controls. You can tribute a monster, you can tribute a spell or trap, you can tribute a field spell, doesn't matter, you can tribute it. Yes, you tribute your opponent's cards during their turn, by the way. Yeah, you can literally play during your opponent's turn. It's very fun. It's not. But it is very strong and definitely something to look out for. They also have a whole bunch of other support cards. Dreaming Town allows you to normal summon again, which is nice, but mostly the one that we are looking for, which probably won't arrive with Flundries, because this was held back in the TCG, so it might also be held back here, but is Advent of Adventure. You just banish a winged beast monster from your hand or face-up field in order to add another one to your hand, or to add the field spell. Now, the field spell is wildly important because during your main phase, you just reveal a level 1 Flundries, banish a Flundries, which is really good. They rely on banishing, so they get a lot of advantage off of banishing things. Banish from your deck, then normal summon the revealed monster. And then if your opponent normal summons, you can do the same thing. Just normal summon a monster. So that's how you start playing. This card is incredibly important, and the fact that you have more access to it with the Advent of Adventure makes it incredibly powerful. Notably, this deck does kind of lose to a Lancia. Like, you just activate Lancia and they can't really do anything. So do keep that in mind. However, they have the ability to lock you out of the game with Barrier Statue of the Stormwind and Mega Ryza. So do keep that in mind as well. Let's move on. So let's talk about insects, and more specifically, Bee Trooper, one of the archetypes that we got in the TCG specifically, that is all about insects, and earth, and wind, and water, and a bunch of different types of insects. So all in all, this archetype isn't anything crazy, but it utilizes the already pretty decent insect support in things like Goki Pull and Picophalina, I think is what it's called, as well as some of those other just really solid cards. What is it? Resonant Insect and stuff. Anyway, there are some really good cards out there for insects. So all in all, these are just make it better by adding powerful monsters such as Sting Lancer into your deck, as well as just giving insects more consistency, more importantly, as well as some big boss monsters to go into. So nothing too crazy. I'm not going to explain too much about it. It's nothing too special, and it doesn't really utilize too many of the Bee Trooper cards to really make it powerful. They just needed a few more insects to make insects very good. And Bee Troopers, it's a tiered, it's a rogue deck at best, but it's still very good and definitely something to look out for if you enjoy playing insects or just want to look for a new upcoming rogue deck. This is one of the better ones. So I have two pseudo decks. They're basically just tuners that turn on Halqifibrax that I do want to cover real quick. So the first one is Rose Dragon, or the Rose Dragon archetype. Yes, Red Rose Dragon did in fact receive an entire archetype, or Black Rose Dragon, not Red Rose Dragon. Black Rose Dragon did in fact receive an entire archetype around it, and this is what we got. So Red Rose Dragon is very good, but Rox Rose Dragon is the main one that we will be looking at. Rox Rose Dragon is just another Halqifibrax target. It's played in 60 card decks in the TCG, kind of sometimes, along with Halqifibrax and Eldritch. It's just a way to get another combo starter for Eldritch and Halqifibrax. Basically what it does, you can just add a Black Rose Dragon card or a just something that lists Black Rose Dragon in its text. And then, while this card is in your graveyard, it adds additional protection by just adding itself back to the hand, or not protection, but recursion. So you could just add this card back to your hand. So it's just incredible recursion and allows you to go into Halqifibrax by searching out this card. You can special summon a Rose Dragon from your hand or graveyard in defense position, and then if it's set, you could target your Black Rose Dragon, which this is why you're able to search it, because it does list the Black Rose Dragon, or a monster that specifically lists that card in its text, that is banished or in your graveyard, special summon it. So, pretty nice. The reason that this is so useful is because you just special summon a Red Rose Dragon, or you could special summon it from your hand, right? This way, if you have a Red Rose Dragon, by the way, this card's really good as well, you could just go into Halqifibrax, you could go into a synchro monster such as, sorry, I searched the wrong one. This is supposed to be Ruddy Rose Dragon. Rose Dragon, yeah, this one, sorry. Ruddy Rose Dragon, you could go into your Garden Rose Maiden, or just a myriad of other things. I mean, White Rose Dragon is also very good. It's just more Halqifibrax targets. And then the other Halqifibrax abusers are Dotscaper and Cyber's Gadget. Now, these are a little bit different. They're not actually tuners. They're more just link spamming, but they do play Halqifibrax with Eldritch, which is why I'm bringing them up here. So Cyber's Gadget and Dotscaper are two very solid cards, and the reason that they are good is because of Link Disciple and Devotee. So real quick, let's talk about Dotscaper. Dotscaper, you can normal summon it, go into Link Disciple. Dotscaper will then bring itself back, because if it's in the graveyard, or if it's sent to the graveyard, you can special summon it, and then if it's banished, you can special summon it. And then you can link off into Link Devotee. Now, the reason this is so good is because you contribute a monster this card points to draw a card, and then place a card from your hand to the bottom of the deck. Not that big of a deal. But if this card is special summoned for the rest of this turn, you cannot link 3 or higher. But if it is co-linked, if the co-linked card, this one, is tributed, you can special summon 2 link tokens to your side of the field. So basically, on a single normal summon, you're able to get into 3 link materials without being able to go into a link 3 or higher link monster, which you may be like, well, then what do you do with this? Again, Halqifibrax. You just go into Halqifibrax with Eldritch, and it makes it incredibly consistent. On top of the fact that you also have Cyber's Gadget, which, when it is normal summoned, can special summon a level 2 or lower monster in your graveyard. Yeah. Also, if it's sent from the field to the graveyard, you can special summon another token. So, again, going into Link Devotee or your Link Disciple with either of these becomes incredible advantage. And while, yes, it may potentially lock you out of Link 3s and higher, you don't have to go into Link Devotee. If you had normal summon Cyber's Gadget, you could go into Link Disciple, not go into Devotee. With the added advantage, you could just go into a Halqifibrax, you could go into something else. Well, actually, you can't because it's not a tuner, but you could go into a myriad of other Link 2s. You could potentially special summon a tuner from your hand. So there's a lot of things that you could do with that. All in all, just something else to consider. We don't have Cyber's Gadget at the moment, but yeah, we do have, I think, all the rest of these. So again, something to consider. All right, so I have a card that I want to discuss because it is basically an engine piece for any deck as long as you are playing potential combo pieces. This sounds really weird, but let me just read Small World for you. If you know what this card does, it's absolutely crazy. If you don't, even after I read it, you will probably still be confused. So I have some examples. First of all, reveal a monster in your hand. Choose a monster from your deck that has exactly one of the same type, attribute, level, attack, or defense. Banish the revealed monster from your hand face down. Then add from your deck to your hand a monster that has exactly one of the same type, attribute, level, attack, or defense as the monster chosen from your deck. Then banish the card chosen from the deck face down. So, this sounds incredibly complicated. What does it actually do? I have two examples I'm going to show you. First of all, we reveal Ash Blossom, we reveal Junk Forward, and then we add it to our hand Tour Guide of from the Underworld, banishing both the Ash Blossom and the Junk Forward from our hand and deck respectively. So, makes sense, right? How did we do this? Well, all of these share one thing in common. They're all level 3s. That's pretty simple. You reveal a level 3, you show another level 3, you search out a level 3. Pretty simple. Let's get a little bit more complicated. Alistair the Invoker, reveal it from the hand. Then, you reveal from the deck DD Crow. Okay. And then we search out Droll and Lockbird. Now, I don't really think that this is going to happen, but let's just go through the line. First of all, there's only one thing that Alistair the Invoker and DD Crow share. That is attribute. That's it. They just share the attribute. They're both darks, so you reveal the one, you reveal the other. Now, DD Crow shares one thing in common with Droll and Lockbird, and that's the level. They're both level 1. Meaning, while there is nothing else that is shared between Droll and Lockbird and DD Crow, Alistair the Invoker, through DD Crow, got to Droll and Lockbird. That is Small World. It is incredibly complicated. There is a lot to explain, and there's a lot more that you could potentially bridge through. This could be played in just about any deck, as long as you are willing to play potentially one brick that you could build a bridge through. This is incredibly powerful, specifically in Madolche. A lot of people are playing Madolche 60-card Small World engine and using Pankratops, yes, Dino Wrestler Pankratops, to search out a lot of their Madolche combo starters. I'm not entirely sure how the bridge works, but do remember that you can basically go from anything as long as you have another thing to bridge to. Again, Alistair the Invoker, search out Droll and Lockbird. That's pretty weird. But yeah, Small World is absolutely crazy. So, just another really interesting card to look out for, and it will definitely change the way that the game is played. And the last thing that I really quickly wanted to cover is just some important cards that could come up in a future meta. So first and foremost, let's talk about Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. This card is a hand trap that we currently have in Master Duel, but is not really seeing any play. The reason for it is because it doesn't negate anything, and it doesn't draw you cards like Maxi or Ash Blossom. But what it does do is when a monster on the field activates its effect, or when a spell or trap card that is already face up on the field activates its effects, you can send this card to the graveyard, destroy the card. The reason this is so impactful and powerful is because, one, it stops Fateful Adventure, which stops the adventure engine from getting to its Omni Negate, because it can just destroy it. And two, it stops things from staying on the field, meaning they can't more easily go into Verte Anaconda, which turns off DPE. So it hits the two most powerful engines in the meta pretty consistently. On top of that, just being able to consistently destroy a monster isn't that bad. Like, it's still good. So there's that. Something to consider building if you don't already have it. We also have Token Collector. This is another one that is I don't know if we already have it, but I wouldn't be surprised if we did. But basically, this card just special summons itself by eating a token. You just eat all of the tokens that are special summoned from hand or grave. Do you know why this is good? I feel like you know why this is good. This is very good. You special summon this by eating the adventure token. You special summon this by eating any of the other tokens that are generated through something like Sword Soul or Nibiru even. If you're playing Dinosaur, you could even special summon a token to your opponent's side of the field with your field spell, and then special summon Token Collector. This card's absolutely crazy. It also gains attack for however many tokens it eats, but not that big of a deal. So, yeah. It's pretty good. We are also going to real quickly talk about Illusion of Chaos. The reason that this card is actually good is because it searches out Magician's Souls. That's basically it. We all know how Magician's Souls is absolutely crazy, and this just gives you more of it. So you can ritual summon this with Chaos form. That's pretty cool. Or you can reveal the card in the hand to add a Dark Magician or a non-ritual monster that mentions it. That's it. That's all you do. You just reveal it, and then you add it. And then you just, like, place a card on the top of your deck. You just place this guy on the top of the deck, search out Magician's Souls. You're just trading it. It's pretty simple. Magician's Souls is crazy, and this just allows you to get it more consistently. Now you can play up to 6 copies of this card, technically. You normally don't, but it is something to consider. Oh, right. So I forgot a deck, so I'm throwing this in at the end. But DDD, Different Dimension Demons, is another deck that is very good. In the TCG, it has a lot of toppings. It's doing pretty well. It's another kind of rogue tier or like tier 2. It's more of like a tier 2 deck. I wouldn't say it's quite tier 1, but it's very close. Very much so like Flundries. And the reason for that is because of this card right here, DDD Abyss King Gilgamesh. If this card is special summoned, you can activate this effect. You cannot special summon for the rest of this turn except for DD monsters. And then you place 2 DD pendulum scales with different names from your deck in your pendulum zones. Take 1,000 damage. If this linked summoned card is destroyed by battle with an opponent's attacking monster or by an opponent's card effect while in its owner's monster zone, you can special summon a DD monster from your extra deck or graveyard in defense position. So, first of all, this card's crazy. It sets pendulum scales. That is all you need to know. When it is summoned, it sets pendulum scales. This card is insane. Like, genuinely, it probably should be limited or banned in some capacity. It's that good. Now, granted, DDD isn't too strong even with this, but it is the potential of being ban-worthy if they get a few more good cards. Now, with that being said, they do have a new boss monster that they're trying to make basically every time with this guy. Let's talk about him. First of all, he does have a pendulum effect, but that's not why you use him, so let's read the monster effect here. You can also exceed this card by using a DDD monster you control as material. That's it. You just summon it over a DDD monster. That means you could summon it over any of your DDD fusions, you could summon it over any of your DDD synchros, you could summon it over any of your DDD XZs. That's it. Just slap him down. So, for a 3k body, that's a pretty good summoning condition. On top of that, you can only control one of him in your monster zone. Okay, understandable. Once per chain, when a monster card your opponent controls activates its quick effect, you can detach 2 materials from this card or destroy a dark contract card you control, and if you do, attach the opponent's card to this card as material. It steals a monster that activates its effect. Just steals a monster. I don't know what else to say. It just steals a monster. And it's incredibly easy to summon. This is why DDD is definitely something to look out for. Yeah. And the thing is, you may be like, well, can they consistently get there? Yes, they can. Consistently. And it is thanks to DD Griffin, as well as, I believe, 7 this one. These two together really make the combo very consistent. So let's read DD Griffin. It does have a pendulum effect as well as a monster effect, both of which are pretty good. Pendulum effect, you can target a fiend monster you control. It gains 500 attack for each dark contract, spell, or trap you control on the field or in the graveyard. Then you can destroy the card. Pretty good. It sets itself up in the pendulum zone while boosting one of your monsters. Pretty nice. On top of that, the monster effect, if you control a DD monster, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position. If this card is pendulum summoned, you could discard a DD card or a dark contract card to draw a card. If this card is special summoned from the graveyard, you can add a DD card from your deck to your hand. Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's a free special summon. It gets you extra materials. It can draw cards. It can replace cards. It can search cards. It does everything for the deck. Absolutely crazy. And it sets itself up very nicely for pendulum summoning. Then we have Savant Cop. I don't know. Anyway. You cannot pendulum summon monsters except for DD monsters. This effect cannot be negated. Once while this card is in your pendulum zone, you can negate the activated spell effects that would inflict damage to you, then destroy this card. So it saves you. Not that big of a deal. But if this card is normally special summoned, you can send a DD or Dark Contract card from your deck to the graveyard. Guess what? You can send Griffin and then special summon Griffin with some other effect, which isn't too difficult, in order to then get extra materials, be able to search more cards. It's absolutely crazy that these are just as good as they are. On top of the fact that you can set scales with Gilgamesh, and you can set these two. We can set Divine Hero King Rage as well as Ragnarok. I'm not going to read these, but they are very good. More so for their pendulum effects and more so for their scales and stuff like that. But all in all, the fact that you can set those just from the deck with Gilgamesh is absolutely crazy. Again, definitely something to look out for. Not as strong because it can't really play things like the Adventure Engine or DPE because you really have to play a lot of the DDD cards. But even with that being said, they're still very strong and definitely a deck to look out for. So that is going to be it for this episode. I hope that at least something was gathered from this episode and that you are able to more adequately prepare for the upcoming meta in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, or in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, a like is very much so appreciated. If you want to consider supporting me on Patreon so that I can continue making content for you guys on the daily, then just be sure to check that out down below. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye.